asked ChatGPT what the most researched mystery on YouTube was, and she said it's the Bermuda Triangle, so let's talk about it. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Tasha, and this is my new series, White Rabbit, where we dive into anything spooky, odd, or interesting while I apply some special effects makeup. So this week's video is going to be on the Bermuda Triangle, and I'm actually going to be applying an octopus tentacle prosthetic that I made on my own and I'm very proud of. So let's just get started. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. And also, if you have any suggestions for new stories that you would like me to do, leave them in the comments. I would love to know what you want to hear. So I have my notes here. I have my coffee here. I'm ready for this discussion. Now, before we dive into all the mysterious occurrences that are happening in the Bermuda Triangle or have happened in the Bermuda Triangle, I just want everybody to be familiar with the area of the Bermuda Triangle. So the Bermuda Triangle is located in the North Atlantic Ocean, and it is made up of 3 points: Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. So I wanted to start with some of the more popular mysterious occurrences that happened in the Bermuda Triangle that basically made it infamous and earned it its name, the Devil's Triangle. So the first story I want to talk about is about the most famous ship disappearance that happened within the triangle, and it actually happened to a World War I ship. The USS Cyclops was commissioned in 1910, and it was primarily used as a cargo ship, and it transported coal back and forth during World War I. So March 4th, 1918, this ship was leaving Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and it was headed to Baltimore, Maryland. They checked in one time when they were near Barbados, but after that, all communication just went dark. The ship and all the passengers essentially just disappeared. I read somewhere, and I don't know if it's true because I only saw it in like one place, but I did read somewhere that the search for the ship, crew members, bodies, debris, all of that lasted like 10 years and they never found anything. So this was like a really big deal because this was the single greatest, hold on, let me not misquote this. It was the single largest loss of life in naval history that was non-combat related. In 1963, the SS Marine Sulphur Queen disappeared, and that was carrying 39 crew members that were never seen or never heard from again. In 1967, a 23-foot luxury yacht named the Witchcraft actually disappeared. Now, that vessel had just one person aboard, and they did make a call for assistance saying that they had hit something. But then when the Coast Guard arrived, which was like only a few minutes later, no one was there. So that ship was never seen again. Now, of course, not everyone that enters the Bermuda Triangle disappears. A lot of them do report some of the same strange occurrences. Number one, I would definitely say, is the technological issues, disruptions in their navigation especially. I've even seen videos of people flying through the triangle and then their navigational equipment just starts spinning. Luckily now there's like GPS, so there are many other ways. We don't necessarily depend on those old compasses, but obviously back in the day that's kind of all they had. If it's spinning uncontrollably, like where are we flying to, you know? So one of the most interesting things that I found people complain about was time distortions. Oh my gosh, I need some water. These people complained about just experiencing these long lapses of time where basically days had passed within like an instant. I don't really have an explanation for that. So number 3 is definitely weather. The Bermuda Triangle is known for having just like insane weather, and a lot of times bad weather comes on kind of like in an instant, so there's no forewarning. And I was researching like the different types of like weather events that occur in the Bermuda Triangle, and it is pretty scary. So number 4 is strange and mysterious lights and sounds. So a lot of people that quote unquote survived the Bermuda Triangle reported a lot of weird lights and sounds that were attributed to UFOs. Now, they've never really been explained, but I just wanted to put it in because, you know, UFOs. Now, I know there are a lot of mysterious things that happen around the Bermuda Triangle: the disappearing ships, planes crashing out of the air and disappearing, strange weather. But a lot of these things have actually gone on to be proven scientifically, or maybe not necessarily proven scientifically, but there are some scientific theories that make a lot of sense as to why some of these crazy things happen. One thing that could explain the sinking or disappearing ships that I found really interesting are what are called methane hydrates. The Bermuda Triangle is known for having a high concentration of methane hydrates, which basically are like these methane particles or pockets that sit underneath the seafloor. So when these pockets that sit beneath the seafloor destabilize, they essentially just float to the surface and they release that gas. So the crazy thing is that these gas bubbles can actually change the density of the water and make it harder for ships to stay afloat. And also it can basically cause this funnel that would essentially just sink everything floating on top straight down to the seafloor. So something that could explain both ship and some of the airplane disappearances are simply the weather patterns. So I'm gonna explain some of these because if you're not fluent in the language of weather, you might not know what they are, because I didn't, so I had to look a lot of them up. So in addition to just an abundance of thunderstorms, the triangle experiences these things called squalls. If you don't know what a squall is, which I did not know what a squall was, squalls are like these super intense bursts of winds, like in the easiest way to put it. Whereas a normal wind burst would last just a few seconds, squalls will last minutes. They're so intense, like the wind speed can get up to 80 miles per hour. So for a ship to be caught up in that type of wind burst for minutes at a time, that could essentially be devastating to a ship or to a plane. So on to the next terrifying weather condition. They're called microbursts. Microbursts basically are like the collapsing of a thunderstorm. The thunderstorm comes crashing down up to like 90 miles per hour, and so it comes down and bursts out. Microburst. And essentially what it is like the core of the thunderstorm that's collapsing, but that can be like miles long or miles wide. And if that is not enough, there are rogue waves. The Bermuda Triangle exists in basically what is called Hurricane Alley. This is where storms from the north and from the south come together, and if there is another storm off of like Florida, these are like ideal conditions for rogue waves. Rogue waves are more than twice the size of normal, or of the surrounding waves. I don't want to say normal waves. So they're like double the size of surrounding waves. The most dangerous thing about the rogue waves is they don't even have to be going in the direction of like the wind and the other waves. They can come from a completely different direction, double the size of any other waves, and they come essentially out of nowhere. If we use the example of the Dropner wave, I think it's called, yes, the Dropner wave is a famous rogue wave. I think maybe it's just famous because it was the wave that put us on to like other rogue waves. I don't think we knew that that was a thing. It just seems like almost not survivable. Hands down, this is my favorite and most interesting fact that I have about the Bermuda Triangle. It's going to be seaweed. Now, before you just click off of the video, listen to the facts about this seaweed. Okay, so there's a special type of seaweed called sargassum, and just to put this into perspective, I was watching a video from the Smithsonian channel, and it said that each individual strand can grow like the length of a school bus or something like that. So basically all these individual strands link together and they form these big mats, and then all of these mats actually link up and cover most of the Bermuda Triangle. It's called the Sargasso Sea, and essentially it's like these huge mats of this sargassum moss that's like each strand is like 40 feet long or something crazy like that, and they all kind of merge together, and when ships try to go through there, all the seaweed gets stuck in like the motors, the rudders, so another thing about the seaweed is when it decomposes, it releases hydrogen sulfide gas. Basically, it smells like rotten eggs. It's toxic to breathe in. It can cause eye irritation, nose irritation, mouth irritation, and it also can cause different varying psychological effects up to the point of insanity. So Bermuda is a volcanic island, just like a lot of other islands. However, Bermuda has an unusual amount of magnetite in the soil, and this is because the volcanic material that made the island, in most islands, I think it comes from like 20 feet below the surface. In the case of Bermuda, it comes from about 400 miles beneath the surface. It's basically an island with like 500 billion tons of magnetite. I honestly think that a lot of these situations are just mysterious when we don't really understand that much about them. Like, I've always heard of the disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle, and I always thought it was so creepy and mysterious. And when I was researching, most things now seem to have a very, if not multiple, logical possible explanation. So it did kind of kill the mystery a little bit. But I love science, and I love researching, and I love finding things out, and I also love doing special effects makeup. And I hope you guys really liked this octopus tentacle prosthetic application that I did. It was my very first prosthetic that I ever made, and I also applied it, so I'm very excited about it, and I hope you love it. Remember to like the video, subscribe so you don't miss any future content, and share with somebody.